Hello everyone, welcome to the market opening bell on January 13, Tuesday, your 10-minute guide to the stock market. The Shanghai Composite Index hit the more than 10-year high again, while Hong Kong stocks rose driven by Chinese tech and internet stocks. The Hang Seng Index opened 145 points higher, briefly dipped 44 points to 26,187 in the early session before rebounding and closed at the day's high of 26,608, up 376 points or 1.4%. The X-share index rose 171 points or 1.9% to 9,220. The Hang Seng Tech Index climbed 176 points or 3.1% to 5,863. Total market turnover for the day was 306.2 billion Hong Kong dollars, up 25% from the previous trading day, marking the highest single-day turnover since October 30 last year, when turnover was 353.8 billion Hong Kong dollars. Southbound trading turnover totaled $147.4 billion, with southbound net inflows of $7.306 billion. Among them, net buys included Kuaishou at $2.245 billion, Tencent $2.012 billion, CSOP Hang Seng Tech Index ETF $857 million, Xiaomi $773 million, Alibaba $203 million, Horizon Robotics $179 million. Net sales include China Mobile at $1.03 billion, Meituan $481 million, Ping An Insurance $342 million. According to statistics, southbound funds have net bought Xiaomi for 8 consecutive days, totaling $6.327 billion. Net bought Tencent for 4 consecutive days, totaling $6.242 billion. Net sold China Mobile for 6 consecutive days, totaling $4.48 billion. Net sold Meituan for 3 consecutive days, totaling $1.075 billion. Technically, the Hang Seng Index filled the downside gap from last Thursday between 26,313 and 26,305 points, with the next target challenging 26,880. If it breaks above 26,880, it could test 27,200, with downside support still at the 10-day moving average at 26,196 points. The 3 major A-share indexes rose in the morning session, with the Shanghai Composite hitting a more than 10-year new high. Turnover in Shanghai and Shenzhen markets exceeded 3 trillion yuan for 2 consecutive days, totaling about 3.6 trillion yuan, a record high. The Shanghai Composite closed up 44 points or 1% at 4,165. The Shenzhen Component Index closed up 246 points or 1.8% at 14,366. The Chinex Index closed up 60 points or 1.8% at 3,388. The renminbi-US dollar central parity rate rose 20 pips day on day to 7.0108 per dollar, hitting a new high since September 30, 2024. On the news front, to promote legal and compliant operations of food delivery platforms, fair and orderly competition, and form a market order of quality over price and benign competition, the Office of the State Counsel Anti-Monopoly and Anti-Unfair Competition Committee, in accordance with the provisions of the Anti-Monopoly Law of the People's Republic of China, has decided to conduct an investigation and assessment of the market competition in the food delivery platform service industry. Analysts expect food delivery platforms to benefit from the anti-involution investigation, with Meituan surging 6.6% to $105, JD.com up 2% and Alibaba up 5.3% to $154.3. Earlier reports indicated Alibaba will increase investments to strive for market share, with expected losses for Alibaba's on-demand retail business reaching 90 billion yuan in financial year 2026 and narrowing to 60 billion yuan in financial year 2027. Due to intense competition, market concerns over Alibaba's cash burn are gradually rising. Meituan's on-demand business is expected to lose 27 billion yuan in financial year 2025 and achieve a profit of 5 billion yuan in financial year 2026, but competitive pressure from its in-store business and increased overseas investments will still drag on profit margins in the short term. Market rumors suggest DeepSeek will release a new flagship AI model in the coming weeks, coupled with sharp rises in recently listed AI stocks like Minimax and Zhipu, driving gains in other AI and software stocks. China's Ministry of Commerce stated that to implement the consensus from the China-EU leaders meeting and properly resolve the EU's case against Chinese electric vehicles, the EU will release the guidance document on submitting price undertaking applications. The guidance provides general instructions for Chinese exporters on price undertakings, that is, voluntarily raising prices. This allows Chinese companies the opportunity to replace the current high countervailing duties with commitments to a minimum import price, thereby maintaining competitiveness in the European market. Wuxi issued a positive profit alert, expecting revenue for the year ended December last year of approximately 45.456 billion yuan, up about 15.84% year-on-year, with continuing operations revenue up about 21.4% year-on-year. Adjusted non-IFRS net profit of approximately 14.957 billion yuan, up about 41.33% year-on-year. Net profit, excluding non-recurring items, of approximately 13.241 billion yuan, up about 32.56% year-on-year. Net profit of approximately 19.151 billion yuan, up about 102.65% year-on-year, including investment gains from selling partial equity in associates and divesting certain businesses. Earnings per share of about 6.7 yuan, up about 104.27% year-on-year. 3 new stocks will be listed today, all recording gains in the grey market on Philip Mart. Multi-chip integrated circuit design company GigaDevice 3986 closed at $226.8 in the grey market, up 40% or $64.8 from the IPO price. Excluding fees, a 100-share lot yields a paper profit of $6,480. Hang Seng Cold Chain 1641 closed at $16.68 in the grey market, up 36.1% or $4.42 from the IPO price. Excluding fees, a 500-share lot yields a paper profit of $2,210. Malaysian civil engineering contractor BBSP International 8610 closed at $3.09 in the grey market, up 415% or $2.49 from the IPO price. Excluding fees, a 4,000-share lot yields a paper profit of $9,960. U.S. stocks opened lower but closed higher, with the Dow and S&P hitting new highs, while the VIX Fear Index rose 0.63 points or 4.35% to 15.12. The Dow fell as much as 492 points to 49,011, but closed up 86 points at 49,590. The S&P fell as much as 0.5%, but closed up 0.2% at 6,977. The Nasdaq fell as much as 0.5%, but closed up 0.3% at 23,733. The Nasdaq China Golden Dragon Index, reflecting Chinese concept stocks, rose 328 points or 4.3% to 8,023. The early U.S. stock decline was mainly from financial stocks such as American Express down 5%, Visa down 4%, and JP Morgan down 2%, as Trump stated intentions to cap credit card interest at 10%, raising market concerns over credit card companies' profits. Apple announced its selection of Google's Gemini as the foundation for its AI model and next generation Siri, boosting Alphabet's stock, which closed up 1%. Alphabet's market cap rose to $4.03 trillion for the first time, making it it the fourth company after Nvidia, Microsoft, and Apple to reach this level. It currently holds the second spot on the US stock market cap list, just below Nvidia. Tesla founder Elon Musk expressed concerns over Apple's partnership with Alphabet to develop a more personalized Siri powered by Google's generative AI platform, Gemini. Musk posted on X noting that with both companies owning Android and Chrome, it seems like an excessive concentration of Google's power. Musk serves as CEO of XAI, whose group is a competitor to Gemini. Meta fell 1.7% with CEO Mark Zuckerberg stating plans to build Meta Compute, constructing tens of gigawatts of computing infrastructure within a decade, and adding hundreds more later. After a lackluster response to the Llama 4 model, Meta has been striving to keep up in the AI race. The company's capital expenditure commitment for 2025 is as high as $72 billion. Chip stocks were mixed with Broadcom and AMD up over 2% at close, Nvidia stable and Qualcomm down 4.8%. Palantir rose 1% after a positive call from Citigroup, and Oracle rose 3.1%. Geopolitical tensions escalated and Fed Chair Powell is again under criminal investigation, prompting investors to increase buys in safe haven assets, pushing gold prices about $4,600 per ounce for the first time with a high of $4,630. Silver prices also hit the record high with spot silver up 8% to a high of $86.2498. Investors are concerned that the criminal investigation into Fed Chair Powell could threaten the central bank's independence and are focusing on key inflation data released today. U.S. Treasury yields rose. The 2-year yield increased 0.7 basis points to 3.547%. The 10-year yield rose 1.6 basis points to 4.187%. The 30-year yield rose 2.2 basis points to 4.841%. Our stock pick today is Kelun-Biotech, stock code 6990. Kelun-Biotech is primarily engaged in the biopharmaceutical business, focusing on oncology, autoimmune diseases, and metabolic diseases. It currently has over 10 ADC and novel conjugate drug assets in clinical or higher stages, including Jia Tai Lai, which has obtained marketing approval for 2 indications, and Shu Tai Lai for HER2 plus BC, which has reached the NDA stage. In November 2024, Jia Tai Lai was approved by the National Medical Products Administration (NMPA) for a listing in China for the treatment of adult patients with unresectable, locally advanced or metastatic TNBC who have previously received at least 2 systemic therapies, with at least one targeted at the advanced or metastatic stage. Jia Tai Lai is the first domestically produced ADC with global intellectual property rights to receive full approval for marketing, and the group has begun its commercialization. In March 2025, the group obtained NMPA approval for Jia Tai Lai for the treatment of adult patients with EGFR mutation positive, locally advanced or metastatic non-squamous NSCLC who have progressed after EGFR TKI treatment and platinum-containing chemotherapy. Compared to docetaxel, Jia Tai Lai monotherapy shows statistically significant and clinically meaningful improvements in ORR, PFS, and OS. This is the world's first TROP2 ADC drug approved for marketing in the LC field. In May 2025, the NDA for Jia Tai Lai for the treatment of adult patients with unresectable, locally advanced or metastatic HR plus or HER2 BC who have previously received endocrine therapy and other systemic treatments in the advanced or metastatic stage was accepted by the NMPA and included in the priority review and approval process. In December 2025, the group announced a strategic partnership with Crescent Biopharma to jointly develop and commercialize oncology treatments. Under the terms of the collaboration, the group grants Crescent exclusive rights to research, develop, manufacture, and commercialize the group's antibody-drug conjugate SKB-105 in the United States, Europe, and all markets outside Greater China. The group will receive an upfront payment of $80 million from Crescent and is eligible for milestone payments of up to $1.25 billion, as well as tiered royalties in the mid-single to low double-digit percentages based on net sales of SKB-105. This collaboration complements and strengthens the group's differentiated oncology R&D pipeline by introducing Crescent's tetravalent bispecific antibody, while also accelerating the global development process of SKB-105, enhancing its potential commercial value and expanding the group's global partnership network. Suggested buy price $475, target $520, stop loss $450. I do not hold the above stock.